Hello, good morning everybody. Today we will make the clients able to attack other clients. Currently, you can damage the other players, but the other players don't know about it. Let's start implementing the death function. Let's check the base character script. In a previous video, we made the death function in this script. This function will be called when the HP of the character is less or equal than 0. Instead of implementing the death function here, we will override it in the player script. In the player script, override the death function and, inside it, set the state to death. We have to do it in the player script because the base character does not have a state machine. Besides, it's not necessary to make the base character play the death animation. It will be played automatically thanks to the animation changes signal we made in the last video. The name of the function should be die, not dead. Sorry for the misunderstanding. If the function is called dead, it will not override the die function of base character and therefore will not be called when the player dies. Next, let's tell the other players when we damage them. Add a signal called damage with two arguments, the ID of the damaged player and the amount of damage. We will emit this signal from the hitbox script. Open it and, below the line where we damage the player, emit the damage signal we just created. To get the ID of the damaged player, cast his name to in. As for the damage amount, type 1. I used the name of the character to get his ID, but he does not have his ID as name. We have to implement this before continuing. But before, now that I think about it, we don't need to call the damage function here. Each client will manage his own HP. We only have to tell them when we damage them. We don't need to reduce the HP from his base character. Open the base character script and add a function called initialize with three parameters: his ID, his name, and his character index. Also, create an onReady variable for the label name. We will need it in a moment. Inside the function, change the name of the character node to his ID. The name of the node must be a string. That's why we have to convert it. Next, set the text of the label with the name parameter. This way, the label will show the real name of the player. This will make more sense when we implement the character creator and we can change the name. We have to call this function when we spawn the players. In the preconfigure game function, after creating a new instance of our player, call his initialize function. I don't remember why I used call deferred. I think I was getting some error calling the function normally. We can get the ID of the player with the getNetwork unique ID function. The name and character index are in the myinfo dictionary. The character index will be useful in the future. Now, let's do the same for the rest of the players. In the for loop, after creating a new instance of the base character scene, call his initialize function. The ID of the player is player ID. We can get the name and the character index from the player info dictionary. If we play the game now, the name of the players will be the default name we defined in the myinfo dictionary, instead of the default text of the label. It will be Elizabeth instead of Hasegawa. With that done, let's continue with the damage signal. Like the other player signals, connect it at the preconfigure game function. Use onPlayerDamaged as the target function. and print an error message if the connection fails. Create the onPlayerDamaged function. Inside the function, call the damagePlayer function of the server. Don't forget to pass the function parameters as arguments. In the server project, add the damagePlayer function. This one is different of the ones we implemented in the last video. Instead of telling all the players in the room that a player has been damaged, we will only tell the one who has been damaged. Since there is no visual representation of the health, the other players don't need to know that we damaged the player. So, inside the function, call the damage function of the player who has been damaged. Pass only the damage as argument. Finally, in the player script, add the damage function. Call the damage function of our player, passing the damage parameter as argument. You can get the player of the client using the getNetwork unique ID function as the key of the player info dictionary. Let's open some clients to test it. By the way, to open multiple clients, I execute Godot in the project directory. Now, when we attack the other player, the damage function of his client script is executed and his life is reduced. When it reaches 0, he dies. Thanks to the canMove variable we made in a previous video, he cannot move after dying. After playing the game, we get two warnings. The first one is because we are not using the character index parameter in the initialize function. We will use it in a later video. Just ignore the warning for the moment. We also get a warning because we are not emitting the damage signal from the player script. Since we are emitting the signal from the hitbox script, we don't care about the warning. We can remove it clicking on Ignore. This warning will not bother us anymore. Now, let's make the player resurrect with a timer. In the player scene, add a new timer node and change his name to Revive Timer. The wait time of the timer is the time it will take to revive the player. I am going to use 7 so we don't have to wait much. We don't want the timer to loop, so check one shot. Actually, the death animation is very long. I'm going to put it to 5 seconds so the player does not revive before the death animation finishes. Enter the state machine script and add an onReady variable for the revive timer. When the player enters the dead state, start the timer. Now, we need a way to go back to idle when the timer ends. In the getTransition function, add a dead case. If the revive timer is stopped, return idle. So, after 7 seconds, the player will change the state back to idle. But he will still have 0 HP and canMove will still be false. We have to change them when we exit the dead state. Create a new function called exitState with a parameter containing the state we exited. If the state exited is dead, change the HP back to 2 and canMove to true. In the setState function, call the exitState function after making sure the new state is different, before updating the value. Pass a state as argument. At this point, a state will have the previous value because it has not been updated yet. If we play the game now, the players should revive 7 seconds after dying. As we can see, they are indeed resurrecting 7 seconds later, but the animation is not correct. I found the problem. We have to change the death animation of the base character too. Open the scene and select the animation player. But the dead animation is correct here too. Let's try to play the game again. Well, the animation works fine now. Maybe I only needed to open the scene for the animation to get updated. That's all for today. At this point, we already have a playable game. But all the players have the same character and name. In the next tutorial, we will make a character creator. I hope you liked the video, and see you in the next one.